Now that we've talked about our measures of central tendency, how do we decide which one we should use? How do we decide which one is best? And the idea is it depends on what your data looks like. If you have nominal data, then we need to use the mode. Nominal data doesn't have any order, so the idea of a middle doesn't really make sense. We can't really order them correctly to find the median, and they're also not numbers, so adding them up doesn't make sense. But we can absolutely find the mode for nominal data. For ordinal data, it makes sense to use the median. This data has an order, so it makes more sense to talk about the middle value as the center rather than the one that happens the most. What about interval and ratio data? For interval and ratio data, it really depends on the situation that we're in. In general, the median is not affected by a data point which is highly unusual, which is known as an outlier. It's also not affected by data which is skewed, which means it's going to have a tail, something we'll talk more about later. However, with medians, you can't do inferential statistics on the median, so we can't draw any other conclusions about our data other than this is the center. The mean is the most commonly used measure of central tendency because we can do this idea of inferential statistics with it, but it is very sensitive and influenced by outliers and skewed data. So let's look at these cases a little more closely. If our data is roughly symmetric, the mean would be the best choice. It's a good representation of the center, and we can use it to do inferential statistics. Here's an example of something that is roughly symmetric, the idea being that we have this middle point and it looks about the same on the left and the right. In these symmetric cases, the mean and median are approximately the same. But the mean is going to be a better choice because, like I said, it can be used more in things like inferential statistics. On the other hand, if our data is skewed, it might make more sense to use the median. So what we mean by skewed is if I were to graph it, it has this really long tail, either to the right or to the left. It's no longer symmetric. The peak happens at one side, and then it tapers down slowly, or it tapers up to the peak, if we're going the other way. In this case, I have these more unusual values, which kind of pull the mean away from the median. So the median's usually a more accurate representation here. However, we'll need to use different measures to do inferential statistics, which makes this not an ideal situation.